The heat of the day settles over the plains of Mamre as Abram sits at the entrance of his tent, resting in the shade while the sun burns across the horizon with an intensity that presses against the earth. The stillness of the moment is broken when he lifts his eyes and sees three figures standing nearby. Their arrival sudden, silent, and unexplained. In a world where travelers depend on the hospitality of strangers for survival, and where the appearance of unknown visitors can signal opportunity, danger, or divine intervention, Abram reacts with urgency, rising quickly to greet them and offering a welcome that reflects the deepest customs of ancient Near Eastern life. What unfolds in the moments that follow is a scene layered with mystery, symbolism, and cultural significance. Abram prepares a lavish meal, Sarah listens from within the tent, and the visitors speak words that challenge the boundaries of expectation, promising a future that seems impossible and revealing knowledge that no ordinary traveler could possess. Their presence raises questions about identity, purpose, and the nature of divine encounter. Questions that echo across centuries and invite investigation into the historical and cultural world behind the narrative. The mystery that emerges from this moment is not only who the visitors were, but whether the details preserved in the narrative align with what archaeology, ancient hospitality customs, and regional settlement patterns reveal about the early 2nd millennium BC. Please like this video to help support evidence-based Bible documentaries. With the tension set and the mystery unfolding, we now turn to the first major discovery that illuminates the cultural logic behind Abram's extraordinary hospitality. Evidence 1. The discovery. The first major discovery emerges from the study of ancient Near Eastern hospitality rituals, social expectations, and pastoral encampment customs, revealing that Abram's response to the three visitors reflects a deeply rooted cultural system in which hospitality was not merely a gesture of kindness, but a critical social institution that shapes survival, honor, and community identity. Archaeological and textual evidence from Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Levant shows that hospitality played a central role in ancient societies, particularly among pastoral groups whose mobility required reliance on the generosity of others. Travelers crossing long distances depended on access to water, shade, and food, making hospitality a matter of life and death rather than courtesy. This context explains why Abram reacts with urgency, running to greet the visitors and offering provisions that exceed basic expectations. The narrative's description of Abram preparing bread, selecting a choice calf, and involving multiple members of his household aligns with documented hospitality rituals in which hosts demonstrated honor by providing abundant food, fresh water, and rest. These rituals served not only to meet the needs of guests, but to establish social bonds, signal status, and reinforce the host's reputation within the broader community. Anthropological studies reveal that hospitality in ancient pastoral societies carried legal and moral obligations, with hosts responsible for protecting their guests from harm and ensuring their well-being during their stay. This responsibility extended even to strangers, reflecting a cultural framework in which generosity and protection were essential to maintaining social cohesion in environments where resources were scarce and travel was dangerous. The significance of Abram's actions becomes even clearer when we examine the narrative's emphasis on speed, abundance, and personal involvement. In ancient hospitality rituals, the host's participation signaled respect and honor, while the quality of the meal reflected the host's status and commitment to the relationship. Abram's decision to personally select the calf and oversee the preparations aligns with these cultural expectations, demonstrating that his response reflects a historically grounded pattern rather than symbolic exaggeration. Archaeological evidence from Middle Bronze Age pastoral encampments reveals structures and artifacts consistent with the lifestyle described in the narrative, including tented dwellings, portable cooking installations, and communal eating practices. These discoveries provide a tangible backdrop for the hospitality scene, showing that the environment in which Abram lived matches the cultural and material world described in the narrative. The convergence of hospitality customs, Pastoral anthropology. And archaeological discoveries reveals that Abram's response to the three visitors reflects a real and culturally coherent system deeply embedded in the ancient Near Eastern world. If you're finding this fascinating, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next investigation. With the cultural foundation established, we now turn to evidence that illuminates the identity and significance of the mysterious visitors. Evidence 2. The confirmation. The second major discovery emerges from the study of ancient encounter narratives, divine messenger traditions, and literary patterns, revealing that the mysterious identity of the three visitors aligns with well-attested cultural motifs in which divine beings or royal envoys appear in human form to deliver messages, test hospitality, or announce future events. Ancient Near Eastern texts from Mesopotamia, Ugaritic, and Egypt describe encounters in which deities, messengers, or supernatural figures appear as travelers, strangers, or human-like beings, often revealing their identity only through their words or actions. These narratives share structural similarities with the scene at Mamre, including sudden appearances, extraordinary knowledge, and the delivery of prophetic announcements. The narrative's depiction of the visitors speaking with authority, knowing Sarah's inner thoughts, and announcing a future birth aligns with these ancient encounter patterns, suggesting that the story reflects a recognizable literary and cultural framework rather than an isolated or symbolic event. The presence of three visitors carries additional significance, because ancient texts often portray divine or royal envoys traveling in groups, reflecting both practical and symbolic considerations. Groups of three appear frequently in ancient literature as a balanced and authoritative delegation, reinforcing the narrative's depiction of the visitors as figures of significance. The moment in which one of the visitors speaks directly to Abram with knowledge that transcends human awareness aligns with ancient traditions in which divine beings reveal their identity through insight, prophecy, or command. This pattern appears in multiple ancient texts, demonstrating that the narrative structure reflects a broader cultural motif. The significance of this discovery becomes even more compelling when we consider the narrative's transition from hospitality to prophecy, a shift that mirrors ancient encounter narratives in which the mundane and the divine intersect at critical moments. The announcement of Isaac's birth reflects a common ancient motif in which divine beings reveal the future destiny of a household or lineage, anchoring the narrative within a recognizable literary tradition. The convergence of encounter narratives, divine messenger traditions, and literary analysis reveals that the identity and actions of the three visitors align with well-attested cultural patterns in the ancient Near East. Do you have anything to add to the conversation? Please add your voice to the comments below. With the encounter context established, we now turn to the final and most revealing piece of evidence that illuminates the archaeological and geopolitical convergence behind the scene at Mamre. Evidence 3. The revelation. The final and most compelling piece of evidence emerges from the archaeological discoveries associated with Middle Bronze Age pastoral encampments, regional settlement patterns, and the geopolitical context of the Southern Levant, revealing a landscape that aligns closely with the world described in the narrative. Excavations in the Hebron region, including areas near ancient Mamre, have uncovered evidence of Middle Bronze Age occupation, including tented encampments, agricultural installations, and trade routes that connected the highlands to the Jordan Valley and beyond. These discoveries provide a tangible backdrop for the narrative, showing that the environment in which Abram lived reflects a real and historically grounded landscape. Archaeological surveys reveal that the region served as a crossroads for travelers, merchants, and envoys moving between major centers of power, including Egypt, Canaanite city-states, and the kingdoms of the Transjordan. This context explains how unexpected visitors could appear at a pastoral encampment, reflecting the mobility and interconnectedness of the ancient Near East. The narrative's transition from hospitality to a discussion about Sodom aligns with the geopolitical realities of the region, because the cities of the plain occupied a strategic location along trade routes and agricultural zones that made them significant players in regional politics. Archaeological evidence from sites traditionally associated with Sodom reveals settlement layers, destruction horizons, and material culture that correspond to the period described in the narrative, suggesting that the region experienced episodes of conflict and upheaval consistent with the narrative's depiction. The presence of 3 visitors delivering a message about the future of Sodom reflects ancient diplomatic practices in which envoys or messengers carried news, warnings, or declarations from distant powers. This pattern aligns with the narrative structure, suggesting that the visitor's message reflects a recognizable cultural motif. The convergence of pastoral archaeology, regional geopolitics, and settlement analysis reveals that the scene at Mamre reflects a world shaped by mobility, diplomacy, and the movement of travelers across vast and interconnected landscapes. Please consider sharing this video to someone you know if you believe they might find it interesting in watching evidence-based Bible documentaries like this one. With the revelation now uncovered, we move toward a closing reflection that brings this investigation to its final moment. As we step back from the layers of evidence uncovered throughout this investigation, a vivid picture emerges of a world shaped by hospitality rituals, divine encounter traditions, and the shifting landscapes of the ancient Near East, all of which converge to illuminate the historical environment in which Abram welcomed 3 mysterious visitors at the entrance of his tent. The hospitality scene reflects a culturally coherent system rooted in survival, honor, and social identity. While the identity of the visitors aligns with ancient encounter narratives in which divine beings or royal envoys appear in human form to deliver messages of profound significance. The archaeological discoveries from the Hebron region, the Jordan Valley, and surrounding areas complete this picture, revealing a landscape that matches the world described in the narrative, a world shaped by mobility, diplomacy, and the movement of travelers across interconnected regions. Together, these discoveries form a mosaic of evidence that does not merely support the plausibility of the narrative, but invites us to view the story through the lens of history, archaeology, and cultural memory. The visit of the 3 strangers stands not as a symbolic tale, but as a moment situated within a real and dynamic ancient world, a world whose traces remain preserved in the soil, settlements, and traditions that continue to speak across millennia.